Chris John for KojiPop.com, where today we're having a look at Smarter Than You, a game that does not play nice with our capture equipment, so it's not making any sound for us, game-wise, but that's okay, because there's not much sonically to speak of here, and we'll just have to, make do with the thrilling sound of my voice. This is a game by Luca Redwood. It says right there. There you go. Luca made a little game called 10 Million a couple of years ago, which was a brilliant puzzle role-playing game, and he's working on an expansion come sequel to that called something like You Have to Build a Boat, You Must Build a Boat, something about building boats. And in the meantime, while he's been making that, he's made this. This is Smarter Than You. And this is me up there, the graphical representation of me. I can change the color of myself. I'm going to stay with green. I can have silly eyes with the slightly dilated pupils, and change where I'm from. You also get like these little icons over your head depending on how many achievements you have gotten and that kind of thing. And it kind of says, well done, you've won 5 games. You get this flair, whatever you call it. But anyway, let's start with a new game here so you can understand what this is. This is rock paper scissors. You play it online. That's pretty much it, right? But it's a little bit more advanced than that. So you see, right at the start, you have a little roll of the dice which assigns different values to different attacks. You also have a persistent leveling up. So depending on who starts the game, you can level up different attacks, which means there's a greater propensity of them rolling higher or whatever. So right now it says arrow 6, sword 4, and counter 3. So it's rock paper scissors. Arrow beats counter, sword beats arrow, counter beats sword, beats attack. And you'd think normally rock paper scissors everything's weighted evenly, and so if you've ever done game theory in any way, then you'll know that basically the real way to win big at rock paper scissors, if you're playing for money, is to go through a genuine random selection, which of course like humans have no real ability of doing. And so what this kind of throws into the mix is the different weights of the attack. So you can kind of say, oh, well, arrow's worth more than a counter, so it will do more damage if I successfully arrow someone, so I'm more likely to go that way. Of course, in genuine actual fact, it's better to be entirely random, but, this kind of tweaks with people's heads a little bit, and that's kind of partly what this is. It's a kind of social experiment in many ways, and it's kind of about thinking like your stranger human opponents will be. There's also this trash talking thing down the bottom. So every time you start a turn, then you have a kind of branching ability to make a sentence. It's time, there you go, for counter arrow, the surprise. There you go with that. So you see, as I'm saying the different words, it's also changing the values on the different attacks. So you might kind of say, oh, it's time for me to counter, and then the counter value will be higher. And of course, the trick is, I can say that and then make my choice of items. So the point is you can lie perfectly freely, or you can tell the truth because the other person would be, I'm gonna do that because that's what they want me to think. Or is that the fact that I want you to want me to think that I want you to think that? So yeah, it's like that. So it's time for the surprise. The person might think that I will go for the lower valued counter here. I might think, that actually I'm faking them out and go for the higher valued arrow. So, well, let's plump the middle and let's go for the sword and see what happens. So it's asynchronous, it sends your turn, it's waiting for an opponent, it's waiting to actually find an opponent on Game Center there, so we'll just back out there and hopefully by the time we finish this video there'll be another move there. So I've got another couple of games going on over here, one game against Swaggermons, and one against Wismac, who's got a lovely dog for his avatar. Let's go with this one. So we played this for a little bit here, so I'm getting a replay of the turn that I did. I can't remember what I did. I said it's good to play Arrow. I was faking him out. There you go. I was telling the truth, and he fell for it, so I won. My double bluff paid off. And when you win, you get experience, and the experience levels, once you level up, you get more things, like more ways to customize your avatar, change the colors and whatnot. You might get those little flare icons, you might get more of those. And as I said, the ability to kind of toy with your statistics and how strong each attack is. But you also have this interesting tipping system. So my opponent tipped me here, so I get double the experience. So I get to be level 7. Hooray! There would be a little sound of an applause here. Normally, I'm going to level up my counter. But as I said, this isn't playing nicely with our capture stuff. And another little perk I got another game slot, so I can play with one more opponent at one time. You get a healthy number. So this is where the free-to-play stuff kind of comes in here. This is a free app, entirely free. There's no ads or anything like that. There's no pay to win here. There's just pay to be nice. And this is a game that Luca has gone on record to say that probably this will make absolutely zero money and just be absolutely insane, or it might make him zillions of monies, pounds. I think Luca's British, but yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards this won't make him any money. So what happens is, if you think your opponent was good, I mean, if you don't, because it starts a lottery, then you click good game, tip your opponent, and then it goes little sort of lottery here, and it says, okay, double experience. So what I can do now is, if I want, pay 100 yen, $1, to give my opponent more experience. I'm not going to do that. Because just no. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? It's all about being nice in that regard, which is very strange. That never happens. So I've got my move waiting from earlier on there. Let's see how that went. So I said it's time for the surprise. He laughed in my face. 2, 1. Ah, well, there you go. So he saw that coming. There you go. And we have to read this one. You are very predictable. See, the truth, the fact of the matter is that ultimately, I think, like, what I figured out so far really is that obviously what people are saying is by and large immaterial. I think generally what I'm saying is by and large immaterial until it gets to the last word, really. And I try and just go for sentences like this guy Striker is saying, you're very predictable. There's a lot of sentences that are kind of nonsense ones, that don't really tip your hand either way, so it's kind of better to be neutral, I guess, and then you just go into the completely random field. I think in general it's probably, the truth is that despite the stats and despite the trash talk, it's still rock, paper, scissors, and still the game theory of rock, paper, scissors applies. I guess, I haven't done the maths on this, but I would assume that if you looked at a bunch of games, you looked at probability and you looked at the way people behave, it's far better to... let's see what happens. I'm not playing attack, and then I'm going to play attack. Let's see what happens here. I think it's far better to just be entirely, as random as you can possibly be, as random as a human can be. Rely on a random number generator and then multiply that by 3. But yeah, it's an interesting little social experiment. As I said, it's free, so boff. There you go. Hooray! So arrow looks too small, but it doesn't, because it's like the biggest one there. Let's see what happens here. I think probably he's going to play arrow, I guess. No, he twatted me. There you go. It's the attack. Not. It's the attack. Not really. There's also kind of a nice little system where you're kind of, you start with a certain number of words in your vocabulary, so to speak, and you can get taught new words, and then they kind of become part of your repertoire when you trash talk. But yeah, it's not that much of a game. 1030th in the world, hooray! It's an interesting little experiment, just in terms of, you know, human psychology and game theory, I guess. Very interesting experiment in free-to-play mechanics. I really don't think it's going to make any money, but there you go. Not the most thrilling thing. I think certainly if you're a fan of 10 million and you're expecting, you know, you have to build a boat, then you'll be disappointed. But yeah, it's an interesting little game. There's nothing else that quite does what it does. So it's an interesting little diversion if you've got a few minutes and zero monies. So yeah, that's Smarter Than You. Chris Charlton for GadgetPop.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.